So we know that there are substances out there that are addictive and hazardous to our health. Here's a perfect example. And we regulate it. Well, guess what? It's not the only one. This is too. And I'll show you why. And the reason is because that common sense notion, a calorie is a calorie, it ain't true. Because a calorie is not a calorie. So what are we talking about? Here we're talking about this stuff called high fructose corn syrup. 55% fructose, so they say. There are actually some studies that suggest that dispenser sugar, like from McDonald's or Burger King or 7-Eleven, might actually have 65% fructose sometimes. And that would be a problem. But most of the time it's 55%. One glucose, one fructose. 6-membered ring, 5-membered ring. Now this stuff is essential for life. Every cell on the planet utilizes glucose for energy. It's so important that if you don't eat it, your body makes it. That's how important it is. This guy over here is completely vestigial. There's not one biochemical reaction in the body that requires it. But it's very sweet, and we like it a lot. The question is, what do we do with it if we don't need it for any biochemical reaction? That's one of the key questions. But over here is sucrose. This is table sugar, cane sugar, beet sugar, the stuff you put in coffee. One glucose, one fructose, O-glycosidic linkage linking the two. The enzyme in your intestine, sucrase, cleaves this in about a nanosecond. So when you absorb the two moieties, they're exactly the same. And that's what all the data say, is that they're exactly the same. High fructose corn syrup and sucrose are metabolically equal, metabolically bad, metabolically equally bad. Okay? And this is what our consumption of fructose, so double it for sugar, has done over the last 100 years. So our ancestors getting fruits and vegetables out of the ground with the occasional honey got about 15 grams of fructose per day. Prior to World War II, with the nascent candy and soft drink industries in the country, we got up to about 20 grams per day. By 1977, we got up to 37 grams per day. This is just before high fructose corn syrup invaded our shores at 8% of total caloric intake. By 1994, we were up to 55 grams a day. That was 10% of total caloric intake. And adolescents currently consume 75 grams per day. That's 12% of caloric intake. And 25% of adolescents consume 100 grams of fructose per day. Double that for sugar, that's 200 grams of sugar. Multiply by 4.1 calories per gram, that's 840 calories in sugar. So for a 2,000 calorie allotment, that's 40% of calories of sugar. The question is, can you handle it? Can your liver handle it? Can you metabolize all that sugar before something bad happens? Remember what Paracelsus told us, the dose determines the poison. Could this be an overdose? And could that be hazardous to your health? Indeed. So as far as I'm concerned, our entire food supply has been adulterated, fructosylated, because of the addition of fructose for palatability, especially with decreased fat, and also sensibly as a browning agent, because food browns better, right? You paint it on your barbecue ribs to brown it better, right? And the caramelization, actually, you know, we like that. And the removal of fiber for shelf life and freezing. We also have substituted trans fats, but those are coming down because we know those are poison, although they're still legal and they're still on the generally recognized as safe list at the FDA. Figure that out, because we know they're poison. Now, does sugar cause obesity? Yes, no. Food industry will tell you everything causes obesity, and you know what? They're right. It's true. Because if you look at this study from Mozaffarian at Harvard School of Public Health, looking at what foods cause the most weight gain, potato chips and French fries. Indeed, I agree with that. Those are the bad guys in terms of weight gain. Sugar, distant third. And when a meta-analysis was done earlier this year from the University of Otago, you'll notice the diamond doesn't cross the identity line. That means that it's significant. So there is a significant increase in weight, but when you actually look at them, do the math, it's only 0.8 BMI points. Remember, I told you, we got 7 or 8 BMI points to deal with. So does sugar cause weight gain? Yes. Does sugar cause obesity? Yes. A factor. Is sugar the cause of obesity? Not even remotely close. Okay? And the problem is, it's not about obesity. Remember, it's about metabolic syndrome. So we're going to consume sugar now. We're going to consume orange juice. Same number of calories. The glucose does the same 20-80 split it did before, 12 and 48, but all the calories from fructose are going to go to the liver because only the liver has the transporter for fructose, called GLUT5. And you see glycogen anywhere? No glycogen. Goes straight down to the mitochondria, just like alcohol did. And because there's so much of it, your mitochondria have no choice but to turn the excess into liver fat. There's your lipid droplet. So now you've got non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. You've got high triglycerides, just like you did with alcohol. You get the muscle insulin resistance, substrate for obesity, and it tells your insulin receptor not to work. So now you've got liver insulin resistance, which makes your pancreas have to make more insulin in order to make the liver do its job. Now the high insulin goes to the brain, blocks leptin, and now you can't see your leptin. So what does it do? It makes you think you're starving. So what does it make you do? Consume more fructose. So now you've got a positive feedback effect between a compound that's toxic and abused, causing damage to the liver, damage to the pancreas eventually, and damage to the brain. But we don't do anything about that. You would never think about giving your kid a beer, but you don't think twice about giving your kid a Coke, and they do the same thing.